Who decided automation should be fun? This was a question I found myself asking while diving back into Satisfactory again, ignoring my previous save files and starting all over from scratch. I was going to build the biggest, most efficient factory ever, I told myself, before playing several hours and forgetting said save file existed. But who decided these efficiency-based games should be fun? Unless you're a hardcore MMO fan, they're probably not words that go together often. And even if you are a hardcore MMO fan, it might leave a bad taste in your mouth. But somehow these factory simulation games do a fantastic job of making the creation of efficient, automated systems that should feel like work fun? But who thought this up first? What inspired them? Well, I set off on a journey through the internet to find out so that I could bring you this video. The more astute amongst you, or those experienced with the genre, will immediately point to Factorio. Factorio was announced via an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign back in 2013, and jumped into its initial release in 2016. Its full release was rather more recent though, on the 14th of August 2020. You'll see this actually coincides with a few similar games releasing around the same time, so it would be very difficult for me to say that Factorio didn't inspire the modern genre. But what was interesting to me was Factorio was actually inspired by yet another game with an entirely different target audience. For that, we have to trek all the way back to 2010 and the alpha release of one of the most popular games of all time. This is Minecraft. If you've not been living under a rock, you'll know exactly what this game is. And some of you might just want to end the video here saying, well, it was just Redstone. Sort of, but not quite. Redstone was released into Minecraft's alpha in early 2010, well before the full release in 2011. It's developed over the years, but fundamentally it allows you to automate tasks using an electrical current through a redstone wire. This can be used to simply move blocks to open doors at a distance, or be used to create monstrous farms that generate hundreds of thousands of items an hour almost fully AFK. If you're looking for great examples of the latter, I'd recommend checking out SciCraft. But most of these builds rely on a combination of clever wiring and obscure game mechanics that can often verge on bug abuse. A subset of the Minecraft community wanted more. Less obscure ways to farm these items, or even create brand new ones. And so, like with so many games, that gap was filled by the modding community. And this is where the true inspiration for Factorio comes from. You see, in an interview with Level magazine, director and designer of Factorio, Micah Kovarik, explicitly stated what drove the idea. The interview was not in English, and I'm using some internet translations, so I may be paraphrasing slightly, but here's the quote. "It came to me with the Buildcraft mod for Minecraft. While playing it, I immediately understood that industrial automation could be a good gameplay support, and better yet with the ideas that I had. So I started to think about a concept. I did some schematics during my boring meetings at work and implemented it during nighttime and weekends. This is how the first prototype of Factorio was born." Buildcraft, for those of you that don't know, is part of a huge technical mod pack called Feed the Beast. It introduces a power system known as Minecraft Joules and machines to move or extract materials, such as the quarry, pump or builder. Feed the Beast and Buildcraft can be used on mega servers full of hundreds of players developing and extracting hundreds of materials, or by me, alone, in my dirt hut. This is one of the key foundations of these modern factory games, who all have one thing explicitly in common: conveyor belts. Before these mods, and before conveyor belts, moving things around was an arduous process. In Minecraft, it often didn't work unless the player was close or holding the items themselves, limiting the distance you could move large quantities of materials. But these factory and automation games let you have resource extraction in one area and a factory in a completely different one, linked by conveyor belts. These are the building block of every single one of these games, and without them, the automation would not feel anywhere near as smooth or as satisfying. But Factorio also added a staple to the genre that Minecraft has mostly steered away from: a clear end goal. You might say, what about killing the Ender Dragon? But at this point it's generally accepted that's just the beginning of the endgame, with the end dimension being full of things to explore after its death. Where Minecraft ends is totally up to you. You can finish with the Elder Dragon or play for literally hundreds of days. But Factorio adds a very clear and explicit goal: build a rocket. Other games may add milestones along the way, but it's not uncommon to see these goals in other factory games too. In Satisfactory, you build Project Assembly using the space elevator. In Dyson Sphere Program, you build a Dyson sphere. You don't have to stick to these goals of course, but the game does nudge you in that direction a fair bit. So having a clear goal and conveyor belts are what separate factory games from Minecraft. But Minecraft isn't where I thought my journey into the history of these games would end up. I knew that Factorio was clearly the inspiration behind many of these games, but Minecraft inspiring Factorio was, at least for me, somewhat unexpected. What about you? I'm sure there are probably more obscure things that inspired them, and I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. If you've got this far into the video, I'd really appreciate if you liked and left a comment, and if you really loved it and want to see more like this, please feel free to subscribe.